Thank you all. And it's my pleasure to kind of invite Jen, Claudine, Donald up for our closing remarks.
Can you believe that it's over?
No.
Did you guys have fun? Was it fun? We just want to say some thank yous. Can the Destination Home team and the NCH team, can you guys stand up? Or come in this room? You know, I'll tell you that we have had endless hours and hours of meetings of wanting to ensure that if we were going to invite a bunch of people to our town, that we really wanted to make sure that you felt loved and cared for and supported. That was really, and so much energy by this team to try to do that. We hope you felt at least some of that. That is what we were hoping for. We're also so happy to have this conference at the Marriott. Haven't they been wonderful? Like the staff. You know, I heard somebody told me, I'm not sure much on my team, maybe it was Claudine, that it was Phil. The chef of the Marriott said that you were the most favorite group he's ever cooked for. Because you were so appreciative of his cooking. Isn't that so great? So thank you so much for that. Thank you so much. I'm going to turn it over to my colleagues, but before I do, I just want to ask Claudine to stand up for a second. She doesn't like this. She, I think, initially wanted to do this out of extreme frustration about the lack of representation in all the spaces that she has been in as the director of lived experience in our organization. So her passion and anger, right, it fueled us being able to do this conference, and I think that's some of the best ways of getting things done. And I don't think none of this would have happened if it wasn't for Claudine. I want to thank our sponsors and our friends who help support this, all of our volunteers. Everybody, thank you, volunteers. We don't know how to put on an event, so Phil, can you stand up? Phil is the event guy in San Jose, and he also said this was one of his favorite events to coordinate, so it's pretty special. So thank you so much for coming. We want this to be the beginning. We want to stay close with you, and we want to figure out how we're going to keep making a difference together. I'm going to turn it over to Donald.
So, Jen, thank you so much, and please give her a round of applause. So Claudine has been the fuel, but this has truly been a collaborative event. A lot of love and passion went into putting this together, and we hope we landed on you being able to feel the love and passion that went into this event. And I wanted to just share a couple of things. I was listening to the panel. I had other things to say, but I want to say this, and I think this is so important. This was a fun conference. We got to share and network and learn from each other, but this is serious business. We have been pushing the involvement of people with lived experience for decades, for probably 4 decades. And it's finally starting to resonate with those in power. And so this is not just a fun event, just a loving event. It's actually the beginning of how we end homelessness in America. We have some work to do once we leave here. So when people ask what is the one thing to do, there is no one thing to do. There's a lot of different things to do. And all of those things are things that people have sacrificed to do throughout history. Whether it's the civil rights movement or the women's rights movement or the movement for the LGBTQIA population, people have given their lives, they've fought, and they've moved to make a change in our country. We have to do that. This is a movement, you guys. This is not a one-off. So whatever you choose to do in your sphere of influence, we all have a sphere of influence. It may be in this room, it may be at our church, it may be at another organization, but whatever we do within our sphere of influence, we have to do that consistently. This is not a one-off. It's not a one-day protest or a one-day call your congressman. You have to continuously do that. So when we leave here, let's do that work. We have some work to do. We have to build a movement for change. I remember my mother used to say this, and I'm going to end with this. She used to say this all the time. Every time she talked to me and she wanted to make a point, she would say, be somebody. And she would say, Donald, be somebody. Whatever she said, she ended with be somebody. And it took me until like 5 years ago to understand what she meant by be somebody. We always walk around and we look at problems and we say, somebody needs to solve that. And now I understand what she meant. Be somebody means that you be that somebody that needs to solve the problem. And so when you leave here today, be somebody, help us solve the problem. I thank you all for being here. And please go back home and help us end homelessness. Thank you.
Hi, everyone. It's been a long 3 days. I'm sure you can all feel it. Honestly, I've been waiting for the end of the conference to come. It's been a stressful, I think, past 9 months. But the stress was really about ensuring that when you arrive, you feel included, you feel welcomed, you feel empowered, and you feel like you're part of our family. And you are. So as we come to a close of this most amazing conference, and I'm so sorry for being emotional, and I'm not sure, I've hugged a lot of people leaving on the earlier flights, but I really am filled with just profound gratitude and hope in coming together in this way. Over the past 3 days, we've brought together almost 400 of you, leaders, change makers, and each of you bringing your own very powerful story and your visions for change. What makes this conference really special, and I'm sure you've seen it on our website, maybe even on some of the conference materials, is this conference was planned by people with lived experience. We have people with lived experience on the steering committee. We've had them on every subcommittee of planning this conference. And I can tell you that you should be proud that you attended a conference that was planned by people with lived experience. Yes. I'm not saying that we were perfect, and I would like to take this moment to ask you for your forgiveness if we have said a word that didn't land correctly, if at any time over the last 3 days we have made you feel excluded and not part of this community, please be gracious toward us, and I ask you for your forgiveness. This is our first time planning a conference here at Destination Home. I was very adamant about putting on the conference, and Jennifer Loving and Donald were very agreeable to doing it. I had no idea how much work it was going to go into it. So there's so many moving parts, and making people feel welcome, knowing that everyone comes from different walks of life, it's very difficult to do. I'm overwhelmed by the positive feedback. There are definitely areas that we are looking at for improvement. We're taking notes, and our team will definitely get together and do a debrief and go through some of the things that we have heard, feedback that we have heard from a lot of you, and look at how we can make it better next time. So I want to let you know that every workshop, every conversation that has been had in this building over the last 3 days, every connection made here represents our collective wisdom and strength, and I hope that you leave here today hanging on to that. And when you get to your communities, release it and turn it into action. That's why you came, to mobilize us for action in your communities. I want to thank all of you, each and every one of you. Jen and Donald have thanked everyone that has been a part of putting together this conference. I thank each and every one of you because you came together and you turned this place into one of authentic connection and empowerment. You should be so proud of yourselves. It's all throughout these last 3 days. But I'm going to tell you right now, and I hope that you remember this too when you get on the plane as you leave from here. Our lived experience is not just our past, it's our power. We often think about our past as something that brings us down, as something that brings us shame and guilt, but it's not, it's power. And as I'm telling this to you, I am convincing myself. Jen here knows I struggle with knowing that my past can be turned into power. As you return to your communities, carry forward the energy, the insights, and connections we've built here. Some of you have met each other for the first time, have exchanged numbers. I have a list of people that I'm going to be checking in on over the next several weeks in hopes that I'll meet them again at the next conference. Remember that our stories matter, our leadership matters, and together we're not just sharing experiences, we're shaping the future of how our nation addresses homelessness in a dignifying way and in a humanizing way. So thank you all for being a part of this amazing journey. I want to wish you safe travels home, and let's keep the momentum going in our communities. So have an amazing rest of